Wednesday, and welcome back to another episode of Sports Rants with Abby. And we just got a friend today. We got my boy Guy in the building. How come no Mets gear today?
Switching it up,
Oh, okay. It's not because they're doing bad. We'll just ignore that part.
Hey, it's been a roller coaster this year, so
I think I told you I'm in a group chat with it's mainly Jets people, but Mets fans make it in there, and they were going at it today. And I'm like, this is a time where I'm like, I don't care about anything. I mean, in my head, I don't feel bad because the Diamondbacks have been on a slump ever since all the trade deadline and whatnot. So that's one of the things I'm like, I have no stake in this. I just comment like popcorn emojis half the time, but. Yeah, I think both of the New York teams are kind of struggling as of late. So very interesting to say the least. But
a lot of panic.
Oh, I mean, New Yorkers, you already know.
Yep.
Have it any other way. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys being here. Gene says, are the D-backs still in the MLB? Don't start with me, okay? You know what? Gurriel had a nice home run on a 103 mile per hour pitch yesterday. So we're still here. We got some good pieces still, but as far as this season, we are toast. I've kept up with them, but I'm not going to be investing any time watching those games. All right, got a lot of football news, but let's kind of start off with some NBA news that happened last week. Luka got a huge, or I shouldn't say huge, because the one he's going to get next will probably be even bigger. 3-year, $165 million contract extension with a player option in 2028. I mean, Guy, we both think, of course, this is probably well-deserved, but what do you think is it going to happen in the future with Luka and the Lakers?
I mean, they're definitely building around him as their superstar. When they got gifted him last year, it kind of signaled like the passing of the torch from LeBron to Luka, and they're still in that transition phase, but he's now being groomed as the face of the Lakers and one of the faces of the league, which he has been. He could have gotten more money if he didn't get traded, but we're crying over multi-million dollars here, right? But it puts things into perspective because the Knicks re-signed Mikal Bridges. I think it was for 4 years, $150 million. So sometimes it's not an indication of talent, but how many years you have, if your bird rights are still there or intact, what contract is coming up. So like we know if we're just going based on the dollar value, those two aren't equal, talent wise, but Luka is definitely a top 10 player, arguably top 5. I mean, he deserves it. You're deserved however much you are getting paid, right? Or somebody's willing to pay you. They put all their chips on the table for him, right? This is LA. The NBA wants the Lakers to be relevant. So who better than a guy that's still in his like mid to late 20s, not almost his second prime, because he's been in the league for a while now, and I think he's just going to get better. I've seen the workout videos. Looks like he's taking his physical health a little more serious now.
Well, I've always liked Luka. I think there's a beef between him and Devin Booker, of course. You know what I mean? So I'm always there for that little rivalry. And that's what makes me hate him. And then just a little. And then, of course, now being with the Lakers, I can't stand all LA teams. You know what I mean? Dodgers, Lakers, Clippers, you name it. Sorry, my dog decided to drink some water as I was speaking. But no, I mean, still very well deserved. Again, he could have gotten more money, but I think the next one is going to be a huge one. They're absolutely going to build around him. And I absolutely think they should. And honestly, the Mavs, this is forever going to just bite them in the ass. I don't care who they have. that trade was just absolutely epic, like one that no one saw coming. But I'm glad you kind of touched on the face of the league stuff. I think Luka's a good person to be the face of the league. He's very unproblematic, very likable guy, still very young in his career, and also just a great player. You know what I mean? And then I know we talked about we talked a little bit, you talked about Mikal Bridges and that contract. You know, we've seen just contracts like that happen so far in the NBA. And I mean, I'll just even take, for instance, Devin Booker. I mean, the Suns really have no one else, but the thing with Devin Booker is I know he could have gone somewhere and potentially been on a winning team, but I think the Suns investing in him at this time really shows that you're going to try and build around this and what you bring to the table. So
do you think that Devin Booker is kind of like another Damian Lillard situation where he's just going to ride it out there till he has no choice?
I feel like it could be. I feel like he's gonna grow. He could potentially grow unhappy, but at the same time with Devin Booker, don't tell me he hasn't been involved in any of the decision-making plans. He was involved with the whole KD thing. Don't tell me that he wasn't involved in those new head coaching conversations and whatnot. So he may write it out. I think I actually posted a video from TikTok that someone was like, some people are just in it and they're comfortable and they're just in it for money. They don't care about rings. And they use the example of Devin Booker. So the problem is though, too, he loves Phoenix. He drives his little lowrider car. And I mean, who doesn't love it here? I wouldn't love it today because it's 115 degrees outside. We broke a record, but I think he loves Phoenix. And I'll say it, Phoenix loves him. When you think of the Suns, you think of, I mean, you can think of some famous names way back in the day, but currently, I mean, you think instantly of Devin Booker. There's a reason he's number one. So,
yeah.
But NBA, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other stuff coming about it. But speaking of money, Disney and ESPN decide that they're going to buy the NFL Network, which is, of course, going to include Red Zone. And I think, Guy, you and I can both agree this is money, money, money.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, are we on the same page that this potentially is not going to be a good thing for us as fans?
Yeah, I think this has the potential to just blow up. You know, the NFL Network, Red Zone is such a good thing. A lot of times when ESPN likes to put their hands on things, they kind of make things worse. You know, the NFL coverage from ESPN, not as good as other networks. Just, you know, putting that out there. I mean, for years they had like Booger McFarland as like
Can't stand him.
Like out of all the guys that they could attract to be, you know, an NFL analyst, that's who they had, right? You know, God bless, you're in that position and I'm not hating, but I'm holding ESPN to a high standard as we should, right? They're the worldwide leader in sports. Mm-hmm. So this is a power move, though, because of streaming and, you know, their ESPN's link to Disney and how, like, you know, you're putting Disney and the NFL and just kind of like merging those two worlds together business wise, right? So mm-hmm. Disney Plus, the subscriptions are going to go up. You know, it's all about dollars, like you said. And a lot of times when a lot of money is involved, the product suffers or the love of it. I hope that Red Zone doesn't get watered down somehow, because that's one thing that's been like so solid over the years, you know, especially around that 1 o'clock on a Sunday. It's like, all right, we know who's going to be there. And he's so good at what he does. It's just, I hope they don't mess it up too much. I know they're going to put their name on it, but if it's not broken, don't try to fix it.
Right. A couple of things here. I mean, when you think of Disney, I mean, those tickets are outrageous. You're already making the money just off one ticket alone, you know what I mean? And I'm like, how much more do you need? And you just talked about the streaming services rising. You already know they're going to start charging us more, acting like you're struggling for business. You know what I mean? And I just think it affects us as fans and our viewership. We just want to watch football. That's all we want to do. We don't want, and then I just keep thinking the amount of commercials that are going to come in here. It's like, and then I think about in the future, what's going to happen to like local broadcasts. Of course, I living in Arizona, I don't see Jets football anyways. It's mainly the Cardinals, but eventually that's going to affect local broadcasts. And I'm so sick of going to all these different streaming services just to watch a football game. You know what I mean? And the one thing I will tell you is, going back to just college football, a little off topic, the Big 12 is now going to be on like HBO Max and did that partnership. So I'm really excited because, again, it's not like the Big 12 has, as far as I'm concerned, like a network or anything like that. It's not like the SEC or ACC or anything. But I'm tired of all these damn streaming services and it's just more money just to watch every single game. I think someone's probably going to do the math now. To watch every single game is going to be like $1,000. I don't have Peacock. And then they're shutting down, like, I won't list any websites, but of course, like some streaming sites are trying to shut those down. Like, let us just have this one thing, you know? And then the other problematic issue, I believe ESPN has a betting app.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm correct. And then linking with NFL Network.
Conflict of interest?
Yes, I absolutely think so. And that's kind of the part that I feel like concerns me the most out of all of this. And again, it's just money, money, money. And it's now becoming like almost like greedy and like gluttonous at this point in time. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
It is. And they also made a power move where, you know, their ESPN is getting the rights to WWE and football. So like now it's just like ESPN is growing exponentially as we speak. And to your point, I hope the betting part of it doesn't, you know, kind of like mess around with the, you know, the outcomes of games. We know how football stat driven with fantasy and just regular betting. I don't know, like that's a little bit alarming, but hey, they're letting them do their thing, right? Money talks.
Right. Now, on the topic of just ESPN, and I'm just curious, do you genuinely like any of the shows that they have on there?
Now, not really. I'm going to be 100% real and raw. I think back in the day, it used to be awesome. You know, like I'm talking about 90s, early 2000s, even maybe like 10, 15 years ago, it's still pretty good. Like SportsCenter in general kind of sucks. Like that was their flagship show. And then, you know, all the other shows where it kind of got repetitive and it was oversaturated, you know. ESPN still does some good things, but like their coverage sometimes of sports is lacking. Like I think they could do a lot better, and I think they go bare minimum with a lot of their programming.
Well, and a lot of I mean, you have like Stephen A on there. I feel like it's a lot more for like personalities, and they're not really saying anything sometimes.
Yeah.
They're not saying anything of actual substance. And so that, social media makes it harder. But that's what I'm saying. There's a couple, I would say there's people I like. There's not necessarily a show I like, you know what I mean? And it is become like watered down. And a lot of times too, I don't even, you see just, again, social media too, you just see the clips everywhere. You know what I mean? It's just Stephen A outburst after outburst. It's like, that's not what we want to be fed. But like I said, there's some good people on there. And actually, like, and me being like a woman talking about sports, I think there's some great women that actually do some research on there. But otherwise, it's arguing, it's back and forth, no one agreeing. And I go on YouTube, and I'm not going to lie, I read some of the comments on these clips, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who genuinely feels that way, because people are like, they're like, please stop talking.
Yeah. Well,
So
most of it's for like shock value and
mhm.
just for like the clickbait, and like
Yes, you said
it's
it exactly right.
where's the substance? And I think ESPN used to be a place where you got a lot of substance. And over the years, as money got funneled
Mhm.
in and personalities took over, where it didn't matter if you had substance or something good to say. Like you said, it was all about personality, flash, and just like, who could scream the loudest.
Mhm. And the thing is too, like, I don't even like watching NFL games on ESPN.
Oh,
That's
same.
like the worst
It's the
network to
worst.
watch.
The worst.
I don't like it. I'd rather watch CBS or Fox, or I'd rather literally get on Netflix and watch a game on there than
Amazon
ESPN.
Prime.
Literally, those games are actually they're very clear quality
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime sometimes, and it's very convenient because a lot of times those games start like with the time difference. It's starting when I'm leaving work, so I'll just like put it on the little like latch thing on my car and just listen to it on the way home until I get home, and I can put it up on the big screen. But just very interesting, and I mean, huge deal, of course. But it's sad that I feel like it's just Disney has really gotten their hands in so many pools. And it's like we as fans are the only ones that are affected by that, to be honest.
100%.
So, sticking with football, there's some teams that are going to be bad this year, okay? And there's some teams that have been consistently bad over the years. And one of those teams, of course, is the Cleveland Browns. I'm not going to say the Jets because that's an obvious answer. But the Cleveland Browns got a very interesting situation going on over there. They even signed another QB in the last
Why
48
not?
hours in Tyler
Why not?
Huntley. So in my head, I was like, you're collecting more QBs than wins at this point in time. But it was announced that Shedeur, he's, I think, fourth on the depth chart as of now. He will most likely be starting in the preseason game that they have this week against the Carolina Panthers. And of course, Shedeur was asked about his how he feels about that. And basically, to sum it up, he said he's faced a lot of different adversity in his life, and he's blessed to be from the family he's from and blessed with this opportunity and whatnot. But what do you make of the QB situation in Cleveland? I mean, who would your best guess be as far as QB1? It looks like right now Joe Flacco, but I want to get your thoughts. And to list all the QBs, you got Joe Flacco, you got Kenny Pickett, you got Dylan Gabriel, you got Shedeur Sanders, and then you got Tyler Huntley to finish it all off. So, Guy, what do you make of what's going on over there in Cleveland?
What are you doing? That's the first thing I need to figure out is why are you collecting quarterbacks for? I mean, you think that this is like baseball and you're just going to have like prospects, you're going to be able to trade them at some point. There's an old saying when you have two quarterbacks, you don't really have one, and it's just like five, but I would start the year off with Flacco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have two rookies, Huntley has been up and down. He was a Dolphin last year, and I wouldn't put him out there week one. And Pickett, I mean, do you really want to go down that road? It's like
he's been passed around too.
yeah, it's like it's not like any of these guys give you hope as a Cleveland Brown fan, right? At least not yet. Sanders might become a good starter in the NFL. Who knows? It depends on if he's willing to put the work in, develop. We've seen other guys come out of nowhere before and really like take a big leap. I know he has pedigree. He comes from football royalty family. His dad, the best cornerback of all time. So it's like he has at least that to fall back on, right? But it's tough. Being an NFL quarterback is very tough. And if you're not on your P's and Q's, you're going to embarrass yourself and you're probably going to get hurt. So if you're going to invest this time and all this energy, which is looking like a circus right now, you're going to make yourself look foolish. And the Cleveland Browns have been good at that over the years. Head scratching moves. There's no real direction. You know, what's the leadership like over there? Like it's a lot more questions than answers. And if you're a Cleveland Brown fan, it's like, man, again, we just were on the cusp of being a playoff team, a perennial playoff team, and looking like they turned the corner. You know, they were in the playoffs not too long ago. And I was like, oh man, okay, maybe Cleveland, right? Their defense was stacked. So I was like, okay. But no, they're regressing. You know, you could have a great defense like that, but if your quarterback situation is not sewed up, you're going to be, you know, top 5 draft pick again.
Well, the thing is, if they were looking, we got 50 people in the building, by the way. Thanks for joining us. So let's get back to the Cleveland Browns. The thing is, if you wanted a quarterback, why wouldn't you just wait until this next draft where there's a lot more quarterbacks to potentially choose from? Obviously, you weren't that sold on a quarterback considering you picked up one in the 3rd round and then another one in the 4th round. Now, I'll tell you, if I was Dylan, I would be pissed. Yeah. Because when you already picked me, what do you need Shedeur for on top of that? And Shedeur is a whole different thing because I really don't even think he should have fell that low, honestly. I get that he maybe has some personality issues. I think those are all workable with the right coaching. There's no way he should have fell till 5th. But I do understand why Flacco's there. I love Joe Flacco, I should say. He's just hanging around, you know what I mean? He's just a chill guy. He's obviously played with the Jets before, but I do respect him being there because you're going to need to have a veteran QB there. And it makes sense to have him start, okay? That O-line is atrocious, though. So it's not going to matter, really, who you put at QB when that O-line is almost – they'll finish like bottom tier. I think they're going to be like 27 or lower in terms of their offensive line and where they ranked. Right now, I think they're at 27 on the dot. Ooh. And, I mean, you have a couple of good pieces on there, but mainly it's a question mark with injuries and things like that. But again, it's not going to matter who you stick behind there if your O-line's not going to hold up. And these defenses now are just coming off of the edge so quick, and they're young. And don't act like the Browns don't play in a tough division.
Defensively too.
Yes. And I even feel bad for Joe Flacco. If he's QB, I'm very worried about him because I get he's mobile, but it's almost like the same, when Aaron Rodgers was with the Jets and after that Achilles injury, I was holding my breath for probably a couple of games anytime you would have to scramble or rush back because obviously we got traumatized from that 4 plays and a ruptured Achilles later. But I don't know what circus they have going over there in Cleveland. You know what the crazy part is? The Browns without a QB controversy will still find a way to have find a way to beat the Bengals in week 1. And then Browns O-line or Steelers O-line, who will have the best offensive line? I mean, in all honesty, if we really do entertain this question, I'll probably go with the Steelers because they're better coached. And I'll tell you right now, Aaron Rodgers ain't putting up with no shit. Yeah, like you're gonna have to put it together for him. You know what I mean? Or else you're gonna get a lot of yelling and helmet throwing and all of that. Gene says, I agree. I'm betting heavy on the Browns week 1. I'm okay. Answer the question. Let's go back for a second. Better O-line this season, Browns or Steelers?
Well, it's definitely the Steelers.
Yeah. Okay.
Without question.
And then do you think the Browns are going to beat the Bengals week 1.
That's tough. But, anytime there's a rivalry game, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Week 1 is always prime for upsets. Underdogs kind of do well, especially with a limited preseason. All it takes is one hit on Joe Burrow could turn the whole game around.
Mm-hmm.
They have great skill position players, but I've seen crazier things happen.
Mm-hmm. Gene says Bengals always start the season off bad.
Yeah, when they're not giving up like 40 points a game.
Literally. Well, speaking of circus, we got another circus going on down in Dallas. Good old Dallas, Texas. And this Micah Parsons drama it's really escalated. So to bring it back just a little, let me ask you guys, did you read the whole thing that Micah Parsons posted? He posted like a novel to X, I believe. And
yeah.
Did you read it all?
I read it all.
Oh, I did not. I was like, sum it up to the end.
I mean, it's crazy because if you look at the dynamic, their team is ran very differently than everybody else. They have Jerry Jones, this crazy owner that has his hands in every move that they make, right?
Mm-hmm.
Micah Parsons is seeing everybody get paid. He wants to be paid like a top defensive lineman. Cowboys don't really want to pay him yet, it seems, or they don't want him at that price. Or, he did ask for a trade,
Mm-hmm.
which basically the Cowboys are like, no, we're not doing that. But it's going to be a game of chicken. It could be to the trade deadline. He might hold out, or he just might go through the motions, which is not good for the locker room or the on-field product. So somebody's going to have to do something there because, they're competing with the Browns. It should be refreshing to you that the Jets aren't in this circus business this year, right?
Yeah, because it's always been like that. And again, before Toegate, I was enjoying the quiet time, and now it's actually settled a little back down. But yes, this is normally what we're going into, and that's why I told you I was so thankful that Sauce and Garrett got paid. It went very under the radar, and there was no drama. They were showing up, and the Cowboys. This isn't the first time they've had these issues when it comes to paying their players. You know what I mean? You got Zach Martin, you got Zeke, you got CeeDee, you got Dak. It's just, this is how Jerry Jones does things, and it shouldn't be surprising. And from what I have last read, no one from the Cowboys has reached out to Micah Parsons. No one has reached out to his agent. And even Jerry Jones was like, I'm not confident that he'll suit up week 1. And he doesn't really seem to care. Like, there's no sense of urgency there. And it's honestly, I find that super disrespectful because, again, when you think of the Cowboys, I'm sorry, top 3 names: Dak, CeeDee, Micah Parsons. Not in that order, but I'm just saying those are the top 3 names that I can immediately think of right away, current on the roster. And, they forked out all that money for Dak, and that right now doesn't seem to have been so worth it. But you have this really good defensive player, and you saw this other young guy get paid, and Sauce Gardner. I mean, it's like, I don't know why, like, the Commanders are having their issues with Scary Terry. And then again, the Cowboys having the issues with Micah Parsons. I just invest in your best players at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, if you want to build a winner, and it's so hard to do that year in and year out. It seems like the price tag goes up every year, but scared money don't make money. And to win in this league, you're gonna have to pay your best players, or you're gonna have to be creative, restructure contracts, or make trades or, you know, necessary cuts. This is a guy that you build around, though, you know. Their defense ain't that good, especially the last few years. It had potential, but then it just went down the chute the last couple of years, and you know they need people on that side of the ball. I think with that X post or tweet, whatever we're calling it now, I think CeeDee Lamb actually reacted to it and basically said like, no surprise here.
Yeah. Well, all the players have been so in support of him. You know what I mean? The only person who's not seeing it is the owner. And unfortunately, the Cowboys are one of those teams. There's a reason they have America's team behind them. But what I'm talking about, it's the same expectations that maybe not exactly on the same level, but for example, in baseball, Yankees fans expect the Yankees to win and be competitive every single year. Not trying to throw the Mets under the bus, guy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Cowboys, I think, are the same way. Their fans expect them to win and be competitive because of who they were back in the day. And that's what I'm saying. It's if you want to get back to that status and you want to be competitive in your division, which is now proven even tougher with the Commanders now having the season that they had and going into year 2, of course, with Jaden Daniels, you're going to need Parsons at the end of the day. So it's a media circus. Gene, when you win 27 titles, you always expect to win. Guy, you can respond to that. I'm not going to respond to that.
How many of those rings were like 100 years ago? You know, like let's keep it real. I respect the trophies and the rings and all that, but that's a weak argument. Just like the Cowboys fans, you're resting on all that past success, which is further and further away every time they don't make it to Super Bowl. You know, like the Cowboys fans have a level of delusionalism that is rarely seen in other teams. You know, the media covers them more than anybody. You know, they get all this attention, and don't give me that America's team BS. That could have been not you.
I don't think so. Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
Like how they're marketed, like maybe in the 70s you were, but like no, but we all get to watch all these teams now. I don't think they have that cachet anymore where they could have that like leverage in any like negotiations. Like your brand isn't that big anymore like it used to be, at least not on a winning side. Maybe on a money-making side still, yeah, but not on a winning side. And at the end of the day, winning is what's gonna cure all this and, you know, bring back the prestige that the Cowboys once had. But
let me tell you, America's Sweethearts, their cheerleading team, has brought them more publicity in the last 2 years with their Netflix docuseries, which I have binge watched all of them. But honestly, that's the best thing that they've had in the last 2 seasons. But just very interesting. We'll see how that'll shake out. Do you think this will get taken care of before week 1?
I mean, it has to. Like, if I'm using like CD's contract negotiations as like a precedent, like what was it, like maybe a week before the season started or like right up until week 1, they were still going back and forth. Like we weren't sure if he was even going to play week 1, right? And they found a way to get it done. But you run the risk of, you know, Parsons not being in true football shape. You know, you could hit the gym and run and lift weights, but it's not the same as being on the field and going through that, you know, hitting the pads. You know, that you can't simulate that. You have to go out there and do it. And, you know, to his credit, he's on the defense and he's just, you know, trying to kill the quarterback, and that's fine. You don't really need, like, if it was a quarterback, I'd be more worried, you know, but you got to pay the man. That's the end of the day. Like, you have to pay the man. Get him out there if you value winning and if you want more star players to want to play for your team.
I don't think they can risk going into week 1 without this deal being done anyways. Because like I said, if you want to be competitive at all this season, you got to start off on a good note, especially given your division. And this will just, I feel like, have a shadow over the team until it gets done, essentially. So what's funny is, Gene brought up the 27 titles. Well, I'll help you out, guy. It could have been 28, but the Diamondbacks took that one. So
and I rooted for the Diamondbacks that year. Luis Gonzalez is a cult hero.
Oh, he was 0 for 2, and it was just a little pop. And then that was a great roster. Like Tony Womack, Jay Bell, Randy Johnson. I mean, it was.
Yeah. Kurt Schilling.
God, he did that on. Are you doing it on purpose, Gene?
Hey, Yankee fans are going to do stuff like that. The truth hurts.
All right. Speaking of truth, I want to talk to you. Of course, this will probably be more AFC East kind of talk, considering that you're a Miami Dolphins fan. But I want to talk about our training camps. Oh, Gene, I'm a sore loser. It's okay. But let's talk about training camps and our respective teams. Again, New York Jets fan here, if it wasn't obvious, Miami Dolphins fan in the building. So I want to kind of talk about what this offseason will you really be looking at in terms of your team? What are you going to have your eye on? What kind of storylines do you find interesting and that you're waiting to develop as we get closer and closer to the start of the season?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I got my eye on. First and foremost, it starts at the head coach position. You were brought in to be this offensive guru, and the offense kind of has been sputtering. Part of it's Tua and his limitations, but also it's going all in and tailor making this offense around Tua, who, you set him up for success. At least I think so. Not so much in the offensive line, because the offensive line has been terrible, but you got him weapons. The running backs have been solid. The Tyreek and Waddle, all these speed guys that they've gotten. It's crazy because now it's like, well, the offensive line can't really block long enough for you to throw a deep ball to get to these speed receivers, and it's just so predictable. All these little bubble screens and short passes. It's like, at the end of the day, you become easy to defend. And if you break the rhythm and timing of Tua, they become very beatable. And I want to see what Tua does, or what more did he add to his game? Is it going to be the same old, I think he is who he is at this point. And we're just, trying to prove ourselves right. And I mean, the front office, they made the right move by, selecting him and sticking with him for all these years. Whereas I think other organizations would have just cut their losses and went in a different direction, especially with the health issues that he's had. He's a little undersized, and, how many hits are you going to take? And this is beyond the game at this point. It's like your health for your family and your loved ones. It's like, dude, I've seen when you got hit, right? And just how you looked was very, scary. From I could put myself in a family member's shoes. You don't want to see a guy look like that, right? And he does not want to relinquish being the starting quarterback. So to his credit, he's still driven to be the best quarterback that he can be, right? But we drafted a guy who I also have my eye on because I think he's going to be called upon this year, at least to, because let's be real, and I hate saying this, and God forbid it happens. I don't hope it happens, but there's a strong possibility Tua might get hurt this year. You know, it's been a reality every season. But we drafted Quinn Ewers. I think he was from Texas.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time where we got to see what the kid has, and if we come out the gate slow, and we kind of like really miss the mark in the season, we're probably going to fire the coach if that happens, and there might be a change at the quarterback position because we're on the brink of like blowing it all up.
Well, the thing with Tua is I want him to stay healthy. There's a reason they paid him when they did, and he just can't. And I remember that sometime last season, his hand was literally like
stuck.
Yes, and I can't get it out of my head because it was almost like traumatizing to see that, and then him to stand up and then get all wobbly. It's very scary, and I can't imagine how his actual family must feel. I know he's done some stuff, like I think he was doing like some jiu-jitsu stuff and that kind of being thrown to the ground. I'm not sure how much that helps. I don't have the research on that, but I mean, again, nothing's going to compare to, again, some of the speed you have coming off of the edge. And simply because I'm a Jets fan, I'll use, Will McDonald has he's put on weight, and now we talked about it, I think last week, that spin move that he has. And then we got on the other side, Jermaine Johnson coming back. That's just the Jets in the division. You know what I mean? The Patriots are also a team to look out for as well. But you're right. I think it's funny because that little window that they had, it had potential, and I slowly see it closing a little bit. I was going to say, did you see the interview with McDaniel talking about we're another day closer to death or something like that? And it's funny because I get normally when they're doing well, his jokes are funny, but your team is, and we talked about this a little, it's a big question mark as to how they are going to perform this year. And it's like, dude, your ass is essentially on the line this year. And in my head, I'm like, cracking those jokes is not going to hit the same as it did potentially in the past. I mean, I think we've made the Miami Vice type jokes here before, but yeah, it's not. I get it, he's trying to be funny and be humorous, but Miami, I think to me, and I've mentioned it to a big question mark.
It kind of has like that old. Like, when Rex Ryan was on his last legs with the Jets and like those jokes didn't hit the same, it's like, it's almost the same thing. Cause I had a front row seat to the Rex Ryan era. And like in the beginning, it was great because like the defense was great. And, everybody was just like, the two AFC championship games that they went to, it was like, yeah, but I don't know. Like when you're not winning, everything's under a microscope, and you could be quirky and funny. All those same things that we loved about him are now like annoying. It's like, just go out there, stop being out coached every week, get your guys to play in the cold too. It's we're in a division where we got to go up north, especially December, January. You think that you would get a quarterback that can play in the cold. Of course, Tua, being from Hawaii, doesn't do well in the cold. So it's just like same old BS like every year. I think if you go to Ewers, he might do better or play better in the cold. Once you get that figured out, you're gonna get a lot more progress than you think, because we started off well, and then it's like December comes and then this drop off hits once the temperature starts going down. So it's like it's frustrating to say the least.
Oh, of course. Well, on another note with the AFC, so let's talk about the Jets real quick and some quick things that I am going to be watching. The first thing I'll say is wide receiver 2. Who is it? You would think that maybe Alan Lazard would have some leverage, but right now it's actually looking like it's Josh Reynolds, and he seems to be the favorite kind of as we inch closer. So something to kind of keep our eye on there. That's been the biggest, I think, thing I've been watching. Besides, I think the obvious is, of course, Justin Fields. I mean, he is the biggest question mark on this team. And I'll kind of get into that when I talk about my rant a little bit. But I mean, I wasn't too fond of him. It's hard because I get we really didn't have any options, but I've said it here plenty of times, and it's a hot take that I wanted Aaron Rodgers back. I understood completely why this team and new regime didn't want him back. I'm now happy that he is gone. I will say that, but at the time, I was willing to roll with it again. Justin Fields wasn't the best. I wasn't the biggest fan of him. Gene, Jets will be Super Bowl champs within 5 years. I would hope so. While we have Sauce and Garrett, you have to hope so. But Justin Fields, I mean, he's been passed around the league several times, and he's great on his feet. You know what I mean? And maybe it is going to come down to coaching. But, right now our whole coaching staff is a question mark. I mean, new head coach, new GM. Mind you, they've done some very good things. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. So, and then on the side of the defense, I'm interested to see who kind of makes that D line and who's kind of on the opposite side of Quinnen Williams. And then also keeping an eye on who's on the other side of Sauce Gardner. It looks like, why am I blanking on his name? Andre Sisco. There we go. We signed him in the offseason. He got a lot of money. And I mean, preseason, he looks like Stevens. There we go. Sorry. But Andre Sisco is one of those people I'm looking at too, but Stevens as well. Those kind of two players I have my eye on. And so far it looks good. But again, this is pre-season. It's a lot different. It's going to be a lot different come week 1. And I don't know, you would hope that maybe going against I'll just use, for example, like Sauce and Garrett, iron sharpens iron. You have two of the best players at their respective positions always going up against each other. So I would hope that in terms of like Sisco and Stevens as well, that maybe having some of our players will benefit them. But I'll go ahead. Let me go ahead and get into my rant because it leads into this topic. So, and I went on my group chat with my uncles, my tios. I love them very much. They also irritate the shit out of me. Okay. And my uncles, for context, one of them is a Cardinals fan. The other one's a Niners fan. One of them is Cardinals and Jets simply because he lived in New York for about 15 years of his life. So he follows the Jets and the Mets for the most part. And I'm sure you've even seen the reports, Guy, about Justin Fields not doing too well the last couple of practices. And they put that in the chat, and it goes into a whole thing where I'm having to defend Justin Fields. And I just told you, he's not my favorite person, but I'm also not going to let you walk all over him and walk all over my team as if you know more than me, because I guarantee you don't. He shared an article from like a week ago, bro. It's been updated since then. And now things are totally out of context, okay? But it just completely irritates me that, one, you think you know more about my team to speak on them, but it's like sometimes I get really sick of people attacking the Jets simply because we suck and we're the Jets. And my uncle legit said, you have Sauce Gardner and a bunch of bums. Quincy Williams is a bum. That's what you're telling me? You're telling me Quinnen Williams is a bum. Will McDonald had double-digit sacks last year. What are you talking about? There's no idea what he's talking about. And then again, I'm having to defend Justin Fields because this is what preseason and practice is for, to work out all these little kinks. It's nothing to get riled up about. I'm not saying like Gene that the Jets are going to go to the playoffs. We're going to be 10 wins. Justin Fields is the answer. He's a future Pro Bowler, whatever you want to say. I have not said any of that. I have not even come out with my record prediction. But it's like you're taking one article and throwing I think we need to have Abby Steele for a bit. And he commented on the video. And if you go to his comment, I'll be like, funny time. I think I said funny timing of this. And because we were just arguing about it. But it's again, that article about Justin Fields not performing so well. Yes, the offense hasn't had the best amount of days. We're working out kinks. He's, again, with his third team in the last couple of years. He's with a new OC. He's with an O-line he's never played with before. This is the point of training camp, to get this all squared together. And again, it's different when you're in an actual game. It's going to be different come week 1. You act like Justin Fields don't have a chip on his shoulder. He knows he's going up against the Steelers. He knows he's going up against Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying he's the answer, but once we got rid of Rodgers, he was the best available quarterback. And I'm fine. I'm rocking with it. I'm not saying he's the answer to all our problems and he will lead us to the promised land. But my uncles, I'm like, worry about the Niners. Your defense is, then they start comparing defenses. And I'm like, dude, your defense is barely ranked above us. The Niners lost a lot. Focused on the NFC West. And I told him, you need to focus on Sammy Whammy and the Seattle Seahawks. And then you need to focus on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. And then you got the Rams in there on top of that. So worry about the NFC West and stop talking about my goddamn team, because sorry, guys, this is a whole thing, but it pisses me off. I don't talk about your teams because I don't care. I stay in my little lane, and that's New York Jets lane. You don't see me saying anything. I've said my opinion about the Miami Dolphins, but I'm not over here throwing out that, they can't win in cold weather every 2 seconds or, X, Y, and Z, because I don't care. I'm focused on my team, my division. My uncles can't even name their roster. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So that is my rant. I'm tired of the Justin Fields narrative being taken off with, and they're like, even Jets fans are like, here we go again. Again, the point of training camp is to work out these kinks. There's still over a month left. A lot can change in a month. So calm down, everybody. Just calm down. Why are you so concerned about the Jets, period? Why does everyone care about Justin Fields? No one does. He's not in your division. Why is this such a news headline? Why is the NFC West fans talking about us? Stay in your lane. And that means anyone in these comments too. They can stay in their lane too, because I will come for you.
Let's go. Here we go. Huh?
See, that's Gene. I didn't say anything about the cold weather.
Hey, man, with all our bad weather records and all that, we still managed to beat the Jets at least once a year. So I'll take it.
You seen that clip of the Black Friday game? And it was like a Jet Blue holiday with a Hail Mary. That's how
I loved it. Was in the building for that one.
I gotta laugh at my pain, but nothing no one says to me actually gets, besides I had time to respond to my uncles. Okay. Normally I do. That chat is on mute. I should say that's how much I normally don't have time for them. And today they were going off about, my uncle said Kyler Murray and the Cardinals going to win the NFC West. I stayed out of that conversation. And my uncle went back and was like, oh, y'all get swept by the Niners. And I was like, bold, but not, I stay in my lane. I didn't reply to any single one of those because I don't care. I'm too busy worrying about my franchise and our future and my mental health starting September. What is it? First game, September 7th.
Yeah.
All the way until hopefully we're playing competitive games in December. I would love that for the Jets. That's the bare minimum that I need from them.
It's not asking for
Anyways.
too much, huh?
Apparently, I get told for Christmas every year. I get shitty New York Jets football for Christmas every single year. I love it. Love having my stockings filled with nothing.
Oh, no, but I mean, to your point though, like it's preseason, it's training camp. It's like if you're gonna make mistakes, if you're gonna look like shit, do it now. You know, even with the training camp and preseason condensed, where it's like not as long as he used to, and got like the starters don't really play at all. So it's like you're kind of like trying to hit the ground running. That's the only thing that's a little scary, is like week one is kind of like a preseason game where you didn't have a lot of the reps and going through all that. You might play like a quarter or maybe a series or two in the final preseason game or the second preseason game, whatever it is now. It's just to get that rhythm and timing is everything. You know, it's hard to simulate. And, you know, he's always had the ability to run. He's going to have to lean on that this year. You know, it's just coming into this situation with all these new parts. It's going to take a while to gel. You know, I'm talking about from the coaching staff and the quarterback, the two biggest parts of a team. You know, as long as they're in sync, they should be okay. But man, it's, you know, you're putting all your chips in Justin Fields, so it's going to be it's a wait and see approach.
And at the end of the day, this was a 2-year deal. It's not like we signed him for 5 years. They clearly knew they were taking a risk on this, and it was a minimal risk. You know what I mean? I still think, as of right now, the Jets take a quarterback next year. I absolutely think they should. Yeah, I think we have to. But that's what I'm saying. The Jets didn't come into this thinking Justin Fields was the answer and the truth, and he, again, going to lead us to the promised land. If they did, they would have signed him to a longer-term deal. They were like, oh, it's kind of like a rental and a test run, and we'll see how this year goes. And it's going to be a wait and see. But that's what I'm saying. This is the whole point. Get the kinks out now. I'm fine with it. I'm not overreacting to it. And guess what? I talked about this. The media loves seeing Jets fans in a frenzy. They love it. And I refuse to stop getting into that. It's chill. You know what I mean? This is nothing new. Other teams also experience this. Like Aaron Rodgers threw an interception his first day of training camp. I feel like that happened to several teams, actually.
Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks haven't looked great.
That's what I'm saying. So it's you know, a lot of players got injury issues. Like we just talked about Stafford, I think a couple weeks ago, and the back thing, and it's chill. A lot of stuff can turn around in a week. They were at OTAs. You know what I mean? Just give it some time. I think it'll come together, and then, you know, even maybe midway through the season, it'll really start coming along and picking up the pace. I mean, I'm hoping for the best. That's all I can do. I'm not sitting here. Again, we'll probably have our prediction videos a week before the start of the season. But, you know, I also hate doing that because, again, if my team shows that they at least are more competitive than last year and still have the same amount of wins, I'm okay. Like Greg Zuerlein cost the New York Jets like four games last year. You know what I mean? And, you know, we blew it in the fourth quarter. So as long as we're not doing that, and I think just keeping up and not getting blown out on, you know, a Black Friday game, I am fine. I just want them to remain competitive. They do have an easier schedule. Of course, it's going to be one of those games. It's normal. You're going to drop a game you probably shouldn't. You know what I mean? But it's chill out. We're fine. The Jets are fine. I don't know why everyone's so concerned. Leave us alone. For our sake and sanity, you already know we've gone through so much crap. Just leave us alone. I love how ESPN ain't even talking about us. So why is anyone else talking about us? Let us be in peace and harmony and we got a preseason game against the Green Bay Packers, and you talked about starters playing and whatnot. I'm really interested to see what this regime is going to do as far as playing their starters for preseason, because I think Robert Saleh, there was 1 year no one played, and then another year where he had them go out for like a series and stuff like that. So really interested to see what this new regime does. Of course, it'll probably be like that last preseason game. So we'll see. But all right, Guy, I'm done with my rant and enough New York Jets talk.
Yeah, my rant is not that different than yours, because again, I have to speak to the New York fan and the New York media. I know right now both New York baseball teams are playing like garbage. Especially after the high of the trades that the Mets and Yankees got respectively. All the bullpen arms, expectations now are higher because, all right, we solidified our bullpen, and now it's just a matter of getting the games in and winning, right? So that when that doesn't happen and you get all these new parts, it does take time to gel. If you're coming from across country, if you were in the West Coast getting traded to an East Coast team, or not, it doesn't even have to be that extreme. Just going from one clubhouse to another, learning everybody, getting acclimated to a new way of doing things, a new city, you're probably away from your family. Like, that's going to wear on the new guys, but also, added pressure for the guys that are already there to hold up their end of the bargain. If your team's going out there and buying these pieces and basically giving you the vote of confidence, like, yeah, I think we have a shot this year. We're going to get you some pieces. When you come out the gate from the trade deadline and just, hit a losing streak or just can't perform the way that we know that you can, it wears on the fan. But the media also kind of blows it up and tries to make this like doom and gloom, full on panic. We still have all of August and all of September for baseball. So much can change, and it's not too different how they cover the Jets. Like, all New York teams get put under this microscope where it's like any little thing, and it's like the worst thing in the world. We want to fire everybody, trade everybody, blow it up. It's like and the media attacks those fans that want to blow everything up and fire the coach, get rid of the players. It's like, calm down a little bit. Let things play out. It's a long season. Just imagine, like, if you react to every single thing that happens over the course of a season, you're gonna lose your mind. You're gonna be driven insane. So it's like, react at the moment, right? But things could get better. Like, things might not be so bad. So, like, stay positive. Like, we're the most negative fan base in the country, New York, and maybe in just in general with mindsets up here, New York, New Jersey, we're pessimists, and it's always the worst case scenario with everything. And we got to change that a little bit. Come on.
I mean, like I said, because they know that we'll react, and that's why they keep doing it. I mean, I was even reading an article like fire Aaron Boone today, and I'm like, what is going? Why is this coming across my feed in general? You know what I mean? But it's like, this is quite frankly like just blown out of proportion, because you have teams like, we'll just use mine for example, the Diamondbacks, that are completely toast, and you're mad because your team is going in a little bit of a slump. But like you said, we're barely starting August. It's a long season. Again, those little changes do make a difference, and eventually it will gel again. It's gonna, again, an overreaction. Both Mets and Yankees fans, I told you in that little chat going back and forth. And I'm like, I should already be used to it because again, that chat is all Mets fans. But I'm like, oh my God, like it's a chill. Like they're breaking out like stats and 14 innings. This, I'm like, 14 innings. That's like practically only one game. Like relax here. So Johnny boy, I'm mad because the Mets need to win and never lose. Yes, I am crazy. Who's Boone pitching William? But again, it's, a long season. We got 70 people in the building. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Johnny boy, as well. You missed all my Jets rant right before you logged in there. But again, still a lot of good baseball to be played. And like, it's those games that really count. You know what I mean? Those divisional matchups that we haven't even hit yet. You know what I mean? It still feels like the All-Star break was yesterday almost.
Yeah. And with like the wild cards, like there's 3 wild cards now. It's like the panic shouldn't be where it is. Like there's 3 spots, not one. 3 wild card spots. And if you're solid, and nothing's set in stone, but if you're kind of solidly in the mix, if you're both New York teams, you should like your chances to at least be a wild card team, at least. And all you need to be is in the dance, right? That's it. You don't need to have the best record in the league. Just make the playoffs and make it count when you're in there, and just hope that from this point until the playoffs, you get everything ironed out and everything, will start clicking right before October. And then you can make a run. The Diamondbacks a few years ago made a run, right?
Yep.
Nobody really saw that coming, but it can happen. And I don't think earlier in the year they had expectations like, yeah, we're going to the World Series. Maybe the players did because, that's how you should think, right? But like most people, I don't think they even had them even making the playoffs. But they got in, they got hot and made a run, and they went up against a team that was just as hot. But that's the thing. Like you could look like pure shit one week, and then the next week look like the best team in the world. So it's like, just calm it down, everybody. It's gonna be okay.
Johnny boy again with Joe Hendry. Johnny boy went to that wrestling thing at
SummerSlam
or whatever that is. Yeah, I'm not into you and Gene talking about it last week, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, they were at MetLife.
It looked fun though.
Yeah, I mean,
sure those type of events are better, I feel like, in person.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know what I mean? It's like, honestly, baseball is one of those sports that's better in person. And it's the same thing with like golf. Like I would love to eventually go to, hockey. I'm trying to think of something else. I don't know. Lacrosse.
I don't know if you ever watch like combat sports in person, but like boxing is pretty cool in person too.
Oh, it's funny, for my dad's birthday, me and my brother, we surprised him with tickets to the Canelo fight in September. Yes, I know. So he's like super enthusiastic about it. So
that's awesome.
And I mean, I like eventually want to go to like a UFC match. There's a great UFC card coming up. I think it's like, is it next week, the 16th? Yeah, that should be a good card. There was really good UFC fights over the summer. I absolutely loved it. So, all right. Well, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank y'all for joining us. Please like and subscribe. And of course, we're going to get into a lot more football talk. It's around the corner. It's like here, but it's not here. And I can literally see it. Guy, who do you guys play week 1? Who does Miami play week 1?
In the regular season or preseason?
Yeah, regular season.
The Colts.
Oh, interesting. At the Colts, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey.
Are they favored?
I think they might be. But those two teams they're real iffy. Let me see if I can get a line on that, because they are. Last time I checked, I thought that it was the Colts that were favored. Let's see. Is there anything on it? I don't see a line on it right now.
Oh, I feel like they always like change anyways. I can't remember when I was in like Vegas last what like even like the Jets and Steelers were. I thought it was like 7.5 or something like that.
Really?
I want to say I could be totally wrong. I don't remember.
Is that much?
I think that's like, again, I think that's Justin Fields' revenge game. So I feel like the Jets are winning no matter what.
Or it could be Aaron Rodgers' revenge game.
I've said it. I don't mind if Aaron Rodgers does well this season. It will point to my argument that I wanted him back. But I think it's a bigger need for Justin Fields to win week 1. I absolutely do. And to set the tone. And, I think, again, I think it'll be a good sign winning week 1 for this new regime. I think, again, the more wins you stack, the better. I'm not going to be like, oh, this new regime and this organization, it stinks after a week 1 loss. You know what I mean? But I think, like, again, Justin Fields got that chip on his shoulder. I think if he can build up that confidence, especially against his former team, I think it'll carry on throughout the course of the season. So, but all right, one more question. Johnny Boy has a question for Guy. At what point will Abs convert to a New York Mets fan? Interested to hear this answer.
Honestly, you come across as a very loyal fan to your team, so I don't think it's ever happening. But maybe in a Subway Series scenario, she might root for the Mets against the Yankees. I think I have a chance there. But
what's funny is I want to go to Citi Field. I do, but I've been to both Yankee stadiums, so.
Oh.
And I actually used to have a Derek Jeter jersey, and I still right now have a Derek Jeter t-shirt, and I do have a like general like Yankees shirt. And that's not because I'm a Yankees fan. I like going. So, for example, I went to 2 Giants games, like I want to say like 5 years ago, the San Francisco Giants. I bought a San Francisco Giants t-shirt because I just buy memorabilia from wherever I'm at. I have a Washington Nationals t-shirt, because I went to a Nationals game. So
I do the same thing.
There's a point in like college football where I was at one point trying to collect all the Pac-12 teams. Because with all like the bowl games and whatnot, if there was a lot of Pac-12 teams were playing here in like either Tucson or Phoenix, that whatever creative bowl game they create, it's Pop-Tart Bowl, Cheez-It Bowl, Sun-Kissed Water Bowl, like dog food bowl.
Oh,
it is absolutely crazy. But that's why I wanted to collect it. So in case a Pac-12 team went there, I was going to wear the shirt. But anyways, that no longer Pac-12, obviously. It would be Big 12 now. But I mean, we talked about money and like sports. I mean, gear is expensive.
It
like,
is.
I don't know how even like I saw a collection of like Jets fans, like 16 jerseys of quarterbacks. And I was like, it was like, or like 10. And I'm like, why are you investing? I have one jersey from like the 2022 draft. And I mean, I guess I could get a Sauce one now because they did extend him. But I was like, you have to pick one player because realistically, we don't know which one they're going to sign. So I ended up picking Garrett. But the one before that was Darrelle Revis, which is a solid pick.
Yeah.
And then I have Mark Sanchez. So it's like, I don't need a jersey every single year. I'm not going to be spending hundreds of dollars on that. And, poor season ticket holders for our teams too, because those ticket prices, they just rise and rise and rise every single year. So skyrocketing.
Yeah.
How much is an average ticket to a Dolphins game?
I think it's a lot more now. I believe it or not, I've never been to a Dolphins game in Miami. I've always
Oh my God.
saw them as an away team. I've done Jets Dolphins every year for like I
Uh-huh.
don't know how many years, but sometimes and to be fair, like over the last few years or last 20 or so years, except for a couple of seasons, we've been trash. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going over there spending this money to fly out there just to get our asses kicked. Like I want
Mm-hmm.
to have a competitive team if I'm going to do that. And I was
Right.
going to a couple years ago, me and my boy as a 49ers fan. We were going to go see a game down there, but
Mm-hmm.
plans fell through. But I think with Florida now being kind of like New York, the prices are going up down there too. I know that the records matter and who you play matters based off, it determines the price
Mm-hmm.
of the ticket. So a
Mm-hmm.
rivalry game is a little more. If we're playing some random, like, insert like bad team, like if we're playing the Cleveland Browns, I mean, that's probably the cheapest ticket that you can get.
Right.
But like if you're playing the Jets or Patriots, that's always like a marquee matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So the prices go up.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just like I've mainly seen Jets games away. I've only been to one game at MetLife because I happen to be in New York for New Year's Eve, and I think we played the Bills.
Oh,
Yeah, surprisingly. But it's like I've been to several away games, but they haven't been cheap. I mean, the Raiders tickets were expensive because it's the Raiders, not even because it was the Jets, because it was the Raiders. Cardinals game last year, that was, I mean, I think the final score was 32-6. Sat through the whole game. Just a waste of it's a waste of time, and it's really disappointing. And like I had fans next to me being like, I'm surprised you're still here. I'm like, shut up and leave me alone. Like I said, stay in your lane. Worry about your own franchise. Seriously.
it's a rare moment that the Cardinals got to talk, some crap. So
Literally. And in my head, I'm like, oh wow, you had beat a team that I think had like 4 wins at the time. Big whoop. You should have won. You know what I mean? That's not, you act like that's some high achievement to beat the Jets as to where they were at that point in the season. Like, chill out. Anyways, but we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Appreciate you all for joining us. Another good episode. You can catch us on Wednesdays, 9:30 Eastern. Please follow all the social media accounts, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.